welcome as we move into Series 2 of the video series Experience Living Purposefully into Your Very Own Story. In Series 2, experiences 11 to 20 are 10 different aspects of how our very own stories interweave. And Experience 13 is of how survival strategies, or more about survival strategies. Gently become aware of you in your skin, letting all else be distraction. Gently let a frequently recurrent pattern of your behaviour reveal itself. Ask your intuition to reveal to you more about this pattern of behaviour. Was there a particular experience or situation where the first set of feelings and reactions grabbed your inner attention, as in a 10-year-old story, part 1 and 2? Do you notice that the pattern has deepened, strengthened over time? How strong is the pattern right now? Do any consequences come to mind? Spend a little time now holding gently whatever has revealed itself to you. When the time is right for you, return to the energy level of the room. Perhaps gift yourself with time to write or speak how this quiet time was for you, and to note perhaps any insights that emerged. So, in our last experience, we had our mountain of stored energy, which I called a survival strategy. And that survival strategy had a repetitive pattern, which I'm calling how we interact with the world, our outer world stance. It's inside us, but it's how we react with the outside world, and a way in which we see the outside world to be imperfect and how we deal with that imperfect. So, a few more facts about a survival strategy. A survival strategy is initially unaware, and significant pausing time is often needed before a survival strategy is revealed for what it is. This is not a common thing or perception. There is much gifting in the survival strategy. For example, in my 10-year-old story, I went into great effort for solving problems that turned up for me and for other people. So, much good was accomplished. What happens, though, which we will be dealing with, is when it becomes so automatic that we use it when it's inappropriate. And another thing, even if we get to sense when it's out of balance and it's inappropriate, and we work at that, it's not 100% never going to turn up again. Survival strategies will always be triggered now and again, even after naming and balancing are well established. I'm going to give some examples. So, mine. I solved a problem at 10, and I spontaneously went into action when problems turned up for me. A woman whose mother was in domestic violence. In the womb, when this baby kicked, the mother winced. And unconsciously, this baby made the decision not to kick. And so there was another reaction. She felt confined. And another way of describing that being confined is she gave up the freedom to be herself. Another woman sensed that she was not wanted, and this is how that came about. She was the 5th girl, and there were 14 years between the last of the 4 and herself. And her mother was kind of saying, well, I'd rather that it wasn't. And even if the mother never said that, that energy of feeling that she didn't want it would have passed to the child in the womb. And then when this woman was born, her father was disappointed because he thought on the 5th go he might get a son. And again, even if he never spoke a word, that would have passed to this woman in energy terms. And so the imperfect world was that she had a longing to belong. And how did she cope with that? What was her survival strategy? She made herself indispensable. Another example. At birth, this woman's mother had septicemia, so there were 3 days of her being separated from the baby. So the imperfect world for this person was that she felt abandoned. And her strategy was, enjoy everything right now. Embrace joy now. Moving on a bit in the age brackets. This woman was sexually abused from 4 to 16 by her father. And because it started at such a young age, she had no voice and wasn't able to see that she was having no rights that were her due. So, how she coped with that imperfect world for her was that she came to accept use and abuse as being acceptable. Another one at 4-year-old stance. Her mother died at 4, and the effect for her, the imperfect world, was that she couldn't trust people. And her strategy was that she put her trust and love to big animals, and I mean big dogs and horses. There's another one which covers a spectrum. It's unique to the person, but it's got many expressions in different ways. So repeated negatives. And again, it could be in action rather than words, but a repeated thing. You're no use. You never get anything right. You never finish anything. You're not welcome, and such like things. There are many of them. So, what happens here is slightly different. That repeated thing gets to stay with us, and eventually many people with repeated negatives like that identify with the negative, whatever flavour it has, and they act so. Going on in the age field. So this woman failed an exam at 17. What a deep shock that was to her. She was good at school, and mostly she could fly through all the exams and everything with ease. So, the result of the deep shock for her was that she became harshly self-critical of herself, and also she used study as an escape. The last example that I'm giving, but of course there are as many as there are people, different flavours of all of the ones that I've given, plus many more, is living a role. And this happens in families or in other situations. The eldest or another in the family takes over when one present dies, takes over that role. And in that imperfect world of not being able to be in the normal growth pattern, the person's real self gets put on hold. And they take on the role of parent, provider, carer, or one of the role, whichever is brought into their life through responding to external circumstances. I now repeat the survival strategy facts listing. A survival strategy is initially unaware. Significant pausing time is often needed before a survival strategy is revealed. There is much gifting in the survival strategy, and survival strategies will always be triggered now and again, even after naming and balancing are well established. Time now for you to let your most bread and butter patterns of behaviour for how you relate with the world outside you reveal themselves. Perhaps you can already name an early experience where the underpinning feelings first grabbed your inner attention. And it's okay if you don't know yet. Sometimes it takes quite a while before it is revealed to us. Survival strategies are like buds. If we pause, notice, and listen interiorly, the promise inherent in inner wisdom will reveal itself. Noel Davis, in his poem Believing Big, from his book Heart Gone Walkabout, names some whats and how-tos around this promise. Believing big. My mind, my heart, my world. Strain like a bud on the brink of bursting into a bigger world, where there is room for my mind to open out and stretch its limbs, for my heart to be unfolded in the sun, for my world to be broken open by a surge of life from life itself that shatters the boundaries of believing in what love can do. Has Experience 13 expanded your awareness of your patterns of behaviour and survival strategies? a strategy to notice more feelings underpinning frequent patterns of behaviour, which I call survival strategies. Gift yourself with spending 7 to 10 minutes in the evening allowing your frequent patterns of behaviour, survival strategies, to reveal themselves. Notice any feeling reactions within and after the pattern emerges. Hold whatever emerges gently. The next morning, gift yourself with spending 1 to 2 minutes welcoming the more than elements underpinning what was revealed the night before as a very caring holding of you as you deepen your inner journeying. Experience 11 was of layers of feeling reactions in my very own stories that are stored. Experience 12 was of how a first pattern of feeling reactions is repeated and becomes a survival strategy to cope with an imperfect world. Experience 13 is of how survival strategies impinge on life and living. So, would you like to know more of how survival strategies impinge on life? One possibility is named in Experience 14. Thank you for experiencing Experience 13.